This is a
Good time, Charlie?
production.
On your marks, get set, play.
I love that.
Good flavor.
That I really like.
That is delicious.
Bakers, your time.
Welcome back to the tent. It's Krème Petite. It's a Great British Bake Off podcast hosted by me. The under is Taylor 713, along with my other host, because I don't like to just say I'm the one host, but it always words weird. But that's of course the homie Nick Jew,
I'm back.
and just tired. I can see it on your face, baby girl.
I just woke up from nap number 2 today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I
you need
know.
actual sleep.
Mhm.
Worry not, Ant will join us when he can. He is rushing about doing some other things, but don't worry. We got some other things going on for you, which means I got to play this early. Early. You know what it is. Bakers make the world go round. It's news time, y'all. And the news this week is we are joined by a special guest. It's Chris. Oh, I want to do it in Italian now. Which do the Curcuru, which Curcuru was the Curcuru, right? We did in Italian. I felt that was more Asian. Anyway, it's Chris. You know him from the tent. He's been baking in there. Yeah, that's him. He's with us to talk about his experience in the tent and anything else he is so inclined to share with us. And it's such a pleasure to have you, good sir.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. As I was saying earlier, this is my very first podcast. So
Oh,
I'm
welcome to the fold. We've been doing it for a while now.
So be nice. Be nice.
Oh no. Breezy. This is the best part. We hadn't even been too mean just in general this go around because it's just like everybody's been
Chris
sweet.
listens to us. He said,
Hey. I get grumpy, but I also always try to be like, but I can never do any of this. I always try to make it a point to be like, look, all this is whatever, but I can't do it. So respect that portion of it at all times. So always try to be that, at least give that to the group. But like I said, just a delight to have you. I have enjoyed your time at the tent. I was just like literally just last week we were talking about how like you always got a good story. You always have share a story about your bakes and so forth. And I think that's just so nice, and it brings something to it brings a perspective that I know everybody be like, oh, it's for my husband or whatever. But no, you tell a story of your uncle who was partnered for a very long time, but couldn't, be out and about, like because of course that was just the times we live in. And I loved that. I love that story, but I also love that you have a story to tell with most of your bakes this go around.
Oh, thank you. I cook with passion, and so if there's a story there, I like to create things around it. And when they told us we had to do a corvée and how to celebrate something, I said wedding cake. Let's see, who would I make a wedding cake for? And he was the first one that came to mind.
Absolutely love it. That is fantastic. Man, corvée was a weird bake, okay?
Right? Who ever heard of a corvée? And generally, it takes 12 village women 7 days to create this, and they
right.
gave us 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell were they smoking?
I was like, that's a choice. There's a couple of things. It's been a couple of choices I've been like, yes, but we'll allow for it. But
Yeah,
Nick,
not. Go ahead.
go.
No, it wasn't something that I was thinking. Yeah, I want to make that again. I'll probably never make one.
Make a large, delicious, sweet breaded structure.
That's my thing. Who wants sweet bread? Like a whole cake level of it. Like
And that much of it. It's just way too much.
It's far too much.
Give me cake or give me death.
Yes.
Well, Nick, I hand the reins over to you, my friend.
Yeah, so just I was a little bit stalking your Instagram and an
Uh-oh.
article that someone did about you. So just a couple questions on that. So your niece is a professional baker?
Yes, my niece Sabrina, and she's the reason I did the show. She knows I love the show, and I've watched every episode of the British version probably 10, 12 times. I don't know why, but I just watch reruns after rerun after rerun. And my niece knows I love these competition baking shows, and she sent me the article that says, "Hey, they're casting for an American version," and I thought, "What? I'm all over that," because when I watched the British version originally, I thought, what if I moved to England for a year? Do you think they
Right.
would cast an American? I was like, I would do that. I'd go there for a year if they would put me on the show. And then all of a sudden there's an American version. And I'm like, oh, I'm all over that. So I actually auditioned twice. The first time was in 2022. And when I got the call back to come to LA to do the tasting version, I was actually in Hawaii. I was there on vacation.
Oh,
And I live in near, an hour outside of LA. And I'm like, great, now I've got to cut my vacation short, fly back home, do this tasting. And then I actually got cut after that. They didn't really call me back, but I tried again in 2023, and we all know what happened after that.
Nice.
so did they call you to resubmit, or did you just resubmit on your own?
No, I resubmitted on my own and just went through the entire process again. But I kind of knew, I was like, now I know what they're looking for. They start out just kind of testing you to see what you know. Then you do the bakes. You take that in for the tasting. And after that, I think they know you could either bake or you can't. So when they called me for the next interview, which was the on camera interview in Pasadena, I knew that I was like, this is not about baking anymore. This is more about personality. So I wore this kind of flamboyant, loud outfit with a hat and everything.
Yes.
And when I got there, I just like, okay, this is all about connections and talking to people. So I was just like the bee around the room, running around to different tables, talking to people, talk to RJ, and talk to Victoria. And I was like, and everyone else was just like so into trying to make that cake or whatever they assign you. And I was like, it's not about the cake. It's not about the cake.
I mean,
And they just loved
ultimately,
my
they're
personality.
right. Because ultimately, they are making a television show, so they want to know that you're gonna be
Yeah.
good for
That,
TV. Yeah. What's this?
and I can give them good TV.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You have been.
You have.
You described the baking boot camp. How long does that sort of last?
So once you get selected, they give you a 6-week baking boot camp. And 6 weeks lines up with the 6 episodes. And once a week, every Monday, you get an email from the culinary producer and says, okay, the first episode is going to be about cake. These are your 2 challenges. You have 1 week to create an original recipe, practice that recipe, and then send me photos of what it's going to look like and the recipe, convert it to the metrics, uh, the, their version of it, and you go through this roller coaster thing. So every Monday, I get this thing, and I'm so excited, and I've got these huge ideas. And on Tuesday, I'm freaking out because I can't figure out how to do it. By Wednesday, I have to pare everything down. By Thursday, I'm figuring it out. Friday, Saturday, I finish it, and then on Sunday, Monday, it starts all over again.
Now, do they provide you the money to bake everything, or that's all on you?
No, unfortunately, it's all on us. So we had to pay for all of our own ingredients. I've got a very large Amazon bill from ordering everything I needed because I had, 4 or 5 different ideas for each thing, and I'm just ordering like crazy. So Amazon was at my door probably 2 or 3 times a day.
And then are those the bakes that ultimately you made on the show, or some variation of them typically?
So yeah, so those are the bakes. We submit photos because they actually start working on the drawings way in advance. So
Oh,
we have to
thank
send
you
in
for that.
photos. Yeah, so the guy who does the drawings wants those way in advance, so they kind of work off the original photos, and those are what we have to make on the show. So even though when we're on the show and Paul's giving you ideas like, "Oh, well, you should do this, you should do that," it's like, well, I've already submitted my ideas. They gave me the ingredients I need, and I can't really change it at this point, you know. And one of the things I noticed in the first episode is he wanted me to stick to my Italian roots because the first thing I made was my elevated loaf cake, which was the orange pistachio cake, which was a recipe handed down from my grandmother. And he really wanted me to stick to those Italian roots. But I had already planned to like show them all this other stuff and really kind of show them who I was and give them things they hadn't tasted before. Anybody can make a key lime pie or passion fruit curd or mango this, which we all know they love, but I wanted to give them flavors that they hadn't had before. And so I was already knee deep in it, and there was really no way to change it at that point.
Yeah.
Which kind of stinks because then it feels like you're not, taking the judge's advice or whatever, but you already had what you had. I often compare the show to RuPaul's Drag Race. It's like the contestants will get some note or whatever. I'm like, but they already have a suitcase full of things. Like, what are they supposed to do now? RuPaul, all they brought were bodysuits or whatever. So.
Exactly. At that point, it's really hard to change directions.
Yeah. T, did you want to jump in here?
No, keep going. You're wrong.
Okay. I was like, you had a quizzical look on your face. So you were talking about your grandmother being your inspiration a little bit for baking. Was she like one of the first people you used to watch bake?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very large Italian Catholic family. And every year around the holidays, we would all get together and we would make cannolis and Italian cookies, these anise cookies. Very much like a Mexican family gets together and makes tamales.
Yeah.
We would pump out cannolis and like, 30, 40 dozen of cannolis. And my mother would use those things for bartering. I remember her paying our doctor, in cannolis when we were kids. And so, I would bake with my grandmother. I remember her putting me up on the counter and giving me dough to play with. So that was my earliest memories of baking, was just with the family and just making those family recipes.
Do you use any of your grandmother's recipes on the show?
Only the first bake, which was the elevated loaf cake, which was the orange pistachio cake.
Oh, yeah.
The other ones are all very complicated and just take way too much time.
Yeah, I imagine. So you're a cheesecake guy. That's your specialty.
So cheesecake is probably my one go-to. Where if you had to say bake one thing that someone's going to remember you for, it'd probably be my cheesecake. I do all different styles, from New York cheesecakes to Basque cheesecakes, and all different flavors. And people really love my cheesecakes. Unfortunately, there's not enough time on the show to make a cheesecake unless it's a no-bake cheesecake. Because you really need to let those things sit overnight, and we just don't have that time.
I love a cheesecake, like a graham cracker crust, a nice tangy. Like, I don't even need fruit on it, but I'll take it too. Like, cheesecake is my jam.
Absolutely.
See, that's what
Absolutely.
I got into the Japanese style cheesecake. And so we'll run up to Toronto because we're relatively close to Toronto. It's like some hours away. It's a little trip, but they have a couple of different spots over there that serve this, that make the Japanese style, the kind of jiggly looking guy. And those are kind of the bomb. Nick, I think you'd like them. They're very much, I don't know, cheesecake, angel food cake kind of vibe, kind of bite.
Light and fluffier.
Yeah, it has the weirdest structure.
Okay.
But it's very tasty.
I have no.
Have you ever had a Basque cheesecake?
No, I was just going to ask you what that was.
I've seen them though with that kind of like a caramelized edge to them or something like that, right?
Yeah, so you intentionally burn the top of it so it's charred.
Okay.
But I've just started making those recently, and it's such a quicker process, and they come out almost like a cross between a mousse and a cheesecake. It's just really creamy and dense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, why am I even messing with the other one that takes forever? I'm going to start just adding, usually they're done without a crust. I'm going to say, I'm just going to start adding my graham cracker crust to the Basque cheesecake, and I think we're going to have a winner.
Then it's yours. You just made that yours. I'll dig it. Cool. That's when you start using Basque style. You'll just start throwing those words around instead.
Exactly. Inspired by.
Speaking of crust, was the apple pie out of the tin thing like a mutiny in the tin, or you all just didn't even try to get yours out?
Well, as they came out of the oven, they're molten lava, 500 degrees. And then it's like, okay, do we attempt to take this out of the thing, the tin? Because they didn't give us the tin where you can just pop up the bottom and kind of scoot it out, which Prue actually mentioned that, but they cut that out of the show. she's like, oh, well, we wanted it out of the tin. We should have given them that type, but no, they didn't do that. And when I made my apple pie, I was actually very far ahead, and my oven went out halfway through. So I had to they had to restart my oven. Had I not had to do that, I think I would have had enough time to let it cool and get it out of the tin. But we were all kind of in the same boat, and I said, well, let's just all stick together, leave it in the tin. It's the American way. And I said, at some point, we're going to get T-shirts that say "Leave it in the tin."
Yes. That's amazing.
I get it. I know some people do. I'm sure there are people who are just taking their pies out of tins. It's just nothing I know about. Like I said, everybody I know who bakes pies, they're in a tin, they're in a pie plate, they're in something nice, you know what I'm saying, attractive, decorative of some sort. I'm not taking it out the tin, Prue. I get it, but no.
But if I had 6 hours to let it cool, yeah, I'll take it out of the tin. Because, I mean, I've got a nice crusty bottom, and it's going to look great, but not when it's molten lava 500 degrees.
Right. Is there any point during the casting process that you actually meet Paul and Prue, or that's not until you show up?
The first time we get to meet Paul and Prue are actually on camera when we start the first episode.
Wow.
Now, Paul's dressing room was directly across from mine and Jen. Jen and I shared a trailer, and he was directly across, so we could see him, but they don't talk to us.
Right.
They kind of keep their distance, but the first time we see them is actually on camera in the first episode.
Nice. Aunt just joined us.
Hello. Sorry for being late.
Hey, Aunt.
You're good. We were just talking about the last question I asked was if they got to meet Paul and Prue before filming, and the answer is no. So, as like a fan of the show, how wild was that? Because I mean, there's been other versions of the American Baking Show that didn't have Paul and Prue, and like, how wild is that you got to be on the one that is like over there with them?
The good one. They got to be on.
Exactly. It was like the original, you know. It's like we got the secret sauce. To be in the tent, to be in London, to have the original judges was like the epitome. It was as if I stepped inside my TV screen at home, and I was in this kind of like alternate reality. It was very surreal.
Absolutely. Do you have any other experience with like TV production or production in general? Because like I said, to all of a sudden go from nothing to something seems like such a big step for people to have to take.
No, the only thing I ever did on camera was I was in the 1971 version of The Blob. I don't know if you
Oh, that's incredible.
Just as an extra,
that's a big deal.
Running through a bowling alley from this make-believe monster. But that was the only thing. I've never done any kind of TV stuff before. I would love to have my own show and do my own baking and my own judging and things like that. So if anybody's listening.
Yeah.
Also, I know what I'll be watching this weekend. I'm going to go find the Blob from 71.
Yeah.
And, see if I can put him out. There he is.
Yeah, I was like the little kid. They almost didn't want to let me do it because I was so small and young. They were like, ah, but then I was like, please let me do it. And they let me run through the bowling alley.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I could go hop into a large television production without a little bit of nerves. I guess once you're there in the middle of it, you're baking. But man, that would give me a little bit of the jitters. So
yeah, I would say about the first 20 minutes of the first episode, it's very nerve-wracking, especially when they're like bake and it's like, okay, we really have to do this now. And you're just trying to figure it all out for those first few minutes, and cameras are in your face, and it's just like, oh my God, what am I doing? What did I sign up for? But then you're just like, okay, I got to get this thing done. And you kind of forget about everybody, block everybody out, and just do what you need to do.
So there's no rehearsal or anything. It's just welcome to the tent, start baking.
Yeah, welcome. I mean, they do say on your mark, get set, bake about 3 or 4 times.
Uh-huh.
So there's a couple of false starts. But no, there's no practice.
So the shooting schedule, you are 2 or 3 days on and 2 days off for the week?
Yeah, so the whole production for 6 episodes took almost an entire month, and for the most part, it was 2 days on, 2 days off. But they wanted us to practice in our little corporate apartments on those 2 days. But the kitchen we had, or the one I had, some of the other people had much larger kitchens. I had this little postage stamp of a kitchen, and literally 14 inches of counter space. And I'm supposed to be rolling out cookie dough. I actually had to go roll it out in the living room on the coffee table just so I would have the space to do that. And plus, it was like 90 degrees while we were there. Everything's tiny. Their ovens are tiny. Their mixers are tiny. Their refrigerators are tiny. So it was just very stressful.
Was your husband able to join you over there, or you were just alone the whole time?
No, he wasn't able to join me because we have 2 dogs, and he had to stay home and watch the dogs. And then he was scheduled to go to Hawaii 3 days after I got back for an entire month. Um, so we figured, okay, that's going to be his vacation. This is going to be my vacation. And he would have just stressed me out had he been there. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why did you do it this way? I mean, at home, he's fantastic. I go in there and I bake up a storm, and I'm literally like a hurricane, and I make a mess. And he calls himself FEMA. He comes in afterwards, assesses the situation, and reorganizes and puts the kitchen back together. So we have a very good relationship that way.
Nice. That's really
So,
nice.
The one question I had, because this is one of my biggest fears if I was ever to go on the show, the ovens. No, was it similar to
about the ovens. How cool.
Was it similar to the one in your apartment to try to get you used to it, or?
Yeah, I would say they were about the same size. They're not very big. You can't fit like a half cookie sheet in there. I mean,
Okay.
I had to order smaller cookie sheets on Amazon at home just to practice that smaller version. But the ones in our corporate apartment there were the same size. They were tiny. So we did get to at least, familiarize ourselves with that. But it's like calculating how much cake could I get in here because I've got to do this was a little stressful.
So they use convection ovens, right? They got the ones with the fan in it. Did you have that at home?
So I do have an option for a convection oven, so that's what I did practice with.
Okay.
However, mine's gas and theirs are all electric, so those do bake a little differently. So you had to make a few adjustments for that as well.
Yeah, see, that's a change. I don't know if I could. I bake in a standard oven. It doesn't have a fan. I couldn't imagine what going from regular to convection is like. This is some learning.
The other thing was they're tiny mixer bowls. I was like, this is from like the set of Barbie. I mean, I had to make, when I made my cake on episode 1, I actually had to make 2 batches, which I didn't calculate into my time frame because at home mine was a little bigger and they'd all fit. But there, I don't know if they showed it, but I was like overflowing. I had to pour it out and kind of make another batch.
The show edit definitely gears towards like the bakers are just out of time and irresponsible and not like we haven't given the provisions to finish this in the allotted time.
Yeah, no, they cut out a lot of good stuff. I mean, I cut myself in the first 30 seconds of the first episode.
Oh no.
And the cameraman looks around the camera, he goes, that's got to be a record. And I thought for sure they would have put that in there. And then later, I think it was on episode 4, I got stung by a bee on camera.
Oh.
And they never showed any of that. I was like, that's good TV.
It is.
Yeah, that was definitely something I've seen a lot more than in other seasons is the amount of bees and hornets in the tent.
Yeah, there's lots of those things because it's all open and we're outdoors. And Paul's running around with one of those little fly swatter zapper things, constantly like hitting them out of the way so they can get a camera shot without the bees on it. But yeah, those things are everywhere. And I know a lot of people had to remake some of their stuff because bees landed on it. But once the thing was baked, I mean, there were bees living in that stuff, and I'm not sure why they even ate it.
Okay, that's kind of amazing that Paul gets that involved in the situation. Like, hold on, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna fight these insects off.
Probably why they're all
exactly.
riled up.
Well, because our bakes sit there for at least like 4 hours after we finish them.
Wow.
And so by the time they come back to it, these things are like living in those things. And it's like, okay, I wouldn't be tasting that stuff.
Bees, I feel like, who cares? Flies are gross.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I do kind of. I'm sorry,
ahead.
Nick.
Go ahead.
I do kind of feel like one thing that isn't mentioned is like the order and like how long you're waiting, because I would be terrible 3rd or 4th and my food will just collapse. I don't know.
So we have no idea what the order is going to be until the camera comes on, and then they just start calling us to bring it up there. But it's been sitting there for several hours. And in that time, they do what they call the beauty shot. So they take your item and they kind of film it and take photos of it, and then we have to go sit by it and admire it, like oh my god, look at what I made. And then we do these things called beauty shots. So it just goes on forever. Each day on set was like 12 to 14 hours. Lots of waiting around. So when you see us standing at our workbenches, waiting for the challenge to begin, we're standing there for about 45 minutes. So, after a while, everything just you start spacing out.
So hurry up and wait. Just hurry up and wait.
Exactly.
It's TV for you. I was going to ask a little bit about your interests outside of baking. Are you still into pickleball?
So yeah, I actually just played pickleball today, and it's pretty hot out here, so almost had heat stroke.
Oh no!
I play pickleball almost every day. I'm addicted to it, so I admit it. But outside of the kitchen, I don't bake that often. I know a lot of people think I do. Victoria's like, "You guys bake all the time." It's like, girl, I bake once or twice a month. I don't. So outside the kitchen, I volunteer with the Channel Island Marine and Wildlife Institute, where we rescue and rehabilitate, wildlife mammals, harbor seals, California sea lions, dolphins, things like that. Other than that, I've got a beautiful garden. I just started a new addiction to growing dahlias, which are these beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
I've got one right now I'm growing, which is called a dinner plate dahlia, and it's about 10 inches in diameter.
Oh my gosh.
So I do a lot of gardening, and then I spend a lot of time with my partner and our dogs on the beach. I live about 2 blocks from the beach, so we spend a lot of time just playing on the beach.
Nice.
It's a good retired life.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you were still doing your staging business or you're retired officially.
So I call it semi-retired. We sold the staging business 2 years ago. I still have a real estate license, and I do help out family and friends occasionally. I'm currently working on a transaction right now, and then we also buy and sell property ourselves. So occasionally we'll do a flip and stuff like that. So it's kind of semi-retired.
Okay. I don't know if the boys wanted to ask you anything else. There was one fun thing from your Instagram I wanted to do an around the room on. If anybody.
Oh, I just love asking everybody how. Just because we all know now how jacked up is the wrong terminology. How very different English ingredients are to American ingredients, and I wonder, have you since coming back, have you found something at home that like, that's the flour that they were trying to sell me over there on or whatever? Or is it just there's nothing like what they have going on in England over here?
Yeah, some of the ingredients are just completely different. I think the biggest challenge I had was with their cream cheese. Their cream cheese, even though it comes in a block and looks like ours, if you over whip it, it turns to soup, and there's just no way to save it. So one of my first bakes was the elevated loaf cake, and it had a cream cheese frosting. So I spent about a half a day trying to figure out how to make that actually work. So I had to use a little stabilizer in it and figure that out. But yeah, they have all different sugars and flours and just crazy stuff. They have 7 different types of heavy cream, but none of them are like our heavy cream. So just figuring that out was a nightmare in itself.
It fascinates me every time one of y'all tell us that. I'm just like, how? What are they doing in England?
I think the answer is, what are we doing?
I don't know, man. I feel like I don't need 7 different creams. I'm sorry.
I found it interesting when I submitted my ingredient list. A lot of the stuff I told them I needed, they were like, "Nope, you can't get that here. It's illegal." Like white food coloring, just little things like that, which we take for granted. It's not allowed out there. So all the chemicals and additives and all that stuff that we have in our food, they don't have it.
That's definitely why their cream cheese doesn't work, because it doesn't have probably the added gum that we have in ours, which of course, just like
exactly,
you said, it's a stabilizer. It's just already built into ours, and you have to do it yourself over there. So
imagine not
that's probably it.
In the population.
Yeah, imagine that.
I don't mind my cream cheese being stabilized. I'm not going to call it poison. I'm just going to say it's done right.
Did you do anything
That's one way to look at
particularly
it.
fun on your off days?
My off days. The first off day I had, Rayun and I kind of went around and kind of explored a couple different bakeries. They have this wonderful place called Buns from Home, and it's like a croissant dough with this whale in the middle. They fill it with different types of like cream cheese, cheesecake fillings, and berries, and all this stuff. So we went out to a couple of those different shops and just kind of explored and ate our way through the city.
Nice. Nice. Did you get to Borough Market at all while you were there?
Yes, we went to Borough Market. I had their strawberries covered in chocolate, which was
Oh
amazing.
man.
And just the food there was amazing. I could have spent the entire day there just eating my way through it.
I got the paella when I was there. It was worth the line for sure.
Oh, really? I just saw that. There were huge things of paella. Oh,
So lastly, I saw a fun little meme on your Instagram. Wanted to see if everybody wanted to play along. It was the number one song on your 21st birthday. Do you remember what yours was, Chris?
oh God, I don't remember. You're gonna have to remind me.
It was Roll With It.
Roll with it. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the theme of your 2024. So whatever song was number one on your 24th birthday is the theme of your 2024. So
that explains my life. I'm pretty much just roll with it, you know.
literally
Do it my way and roll with it.
Yeah. Mine is there's 3 for me, so I'll just pick the like overall number one. How You Remind Me by Nickelback.
Okay, that's a good one.
Let's
hmm
see.
And then like the best selling song that year was Fallen by Alicia Keys, which super inside joke is hilarious to people who know.
My number one song for the year I turned 21.
24.
And the number one song for a
24.
very well, when I turned 24?
Yeah, that's your theme
Oh,
for the year
Here, let me
2024.
rack another few years on top of that one. Then would
Yeah.
have been.
And you
Well,
guys,
it's a song when you turn 21 for 24, right? So how it is?
I think it was the year that you turned 24 for your it was your
For 24.
forecast for
Okay.
the year 2024.
All right, here we go. Let's click
Got
this billboard link here and let's see.
You guys aren't even 24 yet, are you?
Twice, some of us.
You're celebrating the second anniversary of your 24th birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I feel better about this one. Although I don't feel better about it because you're saying this is going to be our theme for the year.
Yeah.
Number one song on my birthday in the year I turned 24 was TLC's "Unpretty."
Oh no.
That's a good song though. It's a song of affirmations. You could buy your hair if it won't grow. You can fix your nose if you say so. But if you can't look inside you, it's full of affirmations.
21 was Macarena, and Macarena was number one for a very long time.
It really
Good
was.
gracious.
And
Okay, so it seems mine for 2005 number one song was "We Belong Together" by Mariah Carey.
my queen.
Dig. Oh my gosh.
Well, there
Was
you
she
go.
with Nick Cannon at that point, or?
I think that predates Nick Cannon.
Okay.
I don't think she wrote too much about that young man.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. I hope it was enjoyable for you. It was wonderful having you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for my very first podcast. And
I
feel
am
thankful
super happy
about-
to have you on for your very first podcast because I think we have a gentle hand. Plus, we love podcasting, so it's a good time. Y'all should do a podcast. I'm telling you already. I've spoken to 3 of y'all. Y'all have great voices. Y'all have that good pump. You know what I'm saying? You got a good vibe. You got good energy, man. Podcasting might be something for y'all.
We might have to talk to you, and you can help us get started.
Oh,
And then we could have you. We could have you on the show.
Okay.
or,
Or you should go on and start your show. YouTube has more subscribers than any other platform.
It's true.
So
that's true.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to,
I would love to do it. I would love to do a show where I go around to different bakeries and kind of explore how they got started, and then come back and like bake something and show people how they do it.
You got to do it.
Kind of like the diners, drive-ins, and dives, but for the bakery version.
Yeah. You could start that with your phone, and I'm I can't help myself. I'm constantly telling people, get out there and do it. Just go have a good time. Go do it.
All right.
You give somebody a phone call before you go do it. You got it,
All
man.
right.
I'm telling you.
I might have to do that.
If nothing else,
Thank you guys so much.
film 2 of them and see what you think. Thank you so very much for coming to kick it with us, man. It's a delight to have you. An honor to have you. Like I said, we get the final here soon, so we're gonna have to come back and talk to everybody, get everybody's opinions on how that all wrapped up and everything. So excited for that. And just like I said,
all right, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Chris.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
All right, y'all. Well, Nick, look, trust me when I tell y'all this. Nick has had a weekend and needed to go ahead and get some rest. So Nick and Chris are both gone for right now. It is what it is. Nick will be back next week, where he not. I have all the pertinent questions I had to ask Nick about what I asked on the show, so I have answers for you. Worry not. But this is Series 7, Episode 5 of the Great American Baking Show. Actually, it's Episode 5. Yeah, that's right, right?
The Great American Baking Show, Holiday Edition.
Well,
By the way, if you have another request, you don't need to.
Siri, I didn't ask you. Well, how do you know you got involved? Siri, hush, stop it. I said Series 7. I understand why she heard me now. It is indeed Episode 5 of the Great American Baking Show on the Roku channel. It's the semifinal, so it doesn't really have a theme. We just get to mess around and have a good time.
Yes.
Let's get right to it. The wrestling bit at the beginning, the Tentagon, with the return of
really
Baker
funny.
Gary. I really and truly would laugh at that shit. That was so crazy. The Hollywood hand, I'm about to give him my signature move. The Hollywood handshake. And then he's like, come on, you got to tag Gary in. She goes, I don't want to touch Gary. I'm like, that's...
I mean, I know I've said it so many different times, but like, I'm a big fan of Casey. Like, I want her to get a little sillier, but maybe next season.
Yeah. Because this is her first full go around. You know what I'm saying? She did the Christmas special, but she didn't, you know what I'm saying? This is her first full go. So I get it. If she's not quite ready to really be no levels of goofy. But like I said, we already know we got one more season at least. So
yeah.
Our bakers in the tent are the Chris we just spoke to earlier in this very episode, Mackenzie, RJ, Jen, and the return of Nicole, who still sounds a little bit sick, but she said she feels better. And our signature this week, sweet meringue roulade, 1.75, 1 hour and 45 minutes to complete. I'm sorry I write things decimally. It's just how I had to write stuff down when I'm typing my notes. Roulade just means round. And if you will, in this case, imagine, if you will, a Swiss roll made of meringue as opposed to cake. And I think you get the point. I don't eat meringues all like that. You?
No, I know they sell them at TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and I'm not really big on buying food from where I get my belts from. So,
you know what I will buy from either of those spots? Some seasoning. They be having wild ass seasonings you can't get nowhere else. Also, if they have a fancy popcorn, I'll buy from them too.
Maybe I'll add some popcorn to the list, but it's this one season I spoke about, I think a couple episodes ago. It is a mixture of salt, garlic, and rosemary. And they make a couple different ones, but this particular one that's in a round bottle, man, every time I see it, I don't care if I got 4 in the cabinet, I get a bottle of it. because it is so spectacular on French fries and like seasoning. Like it is my go-to seasoning for potatoes, and I
That's
get
what's
it
up.
from TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods.
Now you know.
But
Speak.
also
Oh,
like
go on.
I feel like this is one of the trickiest things they make them do almost every season.
I went and looked up Roulade because just in case I thought it needed a deeper explanation. It did not. Everybody's Roulades look like they Roulade. Cracked the fucking shit, just looking like broken up and bit it up. It's just how meringues react when you try to roll meringue. It doesn't want to be rolled. It's not like that. Meringue wants to be piped into beautiful little puffs or something like that there. It does not want to be rolled up. Everybody's cracks, or at least looks cracky on the surface. Now they might get the spiral popping, but it's still just cracked up. So I feel good about the what the bakers managed to do in the tent in such a short time. I get it. I guess meringue doesn't take that long to make. You can beat it real. It's just really just whipping up egg whites and then and some sugar and I think cream of tartar to stabilize matters. But still, I just trust me. You can't do it either. Let's be real. But
Yeah.
Chris is up top. He was going for a strawberry brown butter roulade. Combination of macerated strawberries folded into whipped cream is what is going to fill the roulade with a brown butter caramel kind of in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I guess I need to explain. So what they want from the roulade is basically a cream of some sort and basically a curd of some sort, but not really. Everything doesn't have to be a curd, whatever. But in this case, so Chris has the strawberries in the whipped cream. So it's a strawberry whipped cream. And then you got the butter so imagine the brown butter caramel is the curd, if you will. And then the strawberry whipped cream as the cream. Maceration, in case you didn't know, because I had to go look that word up. I know I hear it macerate all the time. There's a Action Bronson bar, macerate the fruit. Like, what does that even mean? And so maceration is the process of preparing foods through the softening or breaking into pieces using the liquid. Maceration. But that's what Chris is whipping up for us. Mackenzie, key lime roulade. Hers is going to be filled with a lime curd, top with a roasted coconut and a candied key lime peel. I don't know what her cream portion of her program was, but we'll get to that. RJ is going for a yuzu honey roulade. It's going to be with some yuzu curd, topped with these mango spheres that he worked out and some pistachios. Jen was hooking up some Azorian fruits roulade, filled with a passion fruit curd, swirled with cream, and topped with pineapple slices. In case you didn't know this, again, something I always hear about the Azores, but never know about the Azores. So this one more for me, but I'll share it with you in just case you're not hip. The Azores are an archipelago about 1,400 clicks west of Lisbon, Portugal. They kind of belong to Portugal. They kind of don't. So they over here out in the Atlantic, but you always hear about the Azores. And so it must be nice out there. So that's what's up. We're to the Azores. Nicole is whipping up. And I find Nicole and Chris's to be the most interesting to me because it's the most outside of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is doing like basically exactly what Paul said, a citrus fruit curd, a cream, and whatever. But in Chris's case, he went with the brown butter caramel. In Nicole's case, she's going with a hazelnut mocha roulade. It's going to be a mocha hazelnut creme mousseline. Hers is going to be topped with candied hazelnuts. Creme mousseline, I know we've done it in the description before, but just in case you don't know, because everybody's here for the first time, creme mousseline, also known as German buttercream, is a fluffy and silky buttercream made of pastry cream and whipped butter. God, it sounds so good. Or the creme mousseline. Let's get to judging. RJ's up first. And also I've pointed out to you now 5 weeks straight. RJ was the third person to get get his item discussed when they talked about the signature. So that is every episode of the show so far. RJ is number 3. Okay, that leads to something later on. We got an idea of what be going on in editing. RJ is up top in the judging though. Everybody had already commented this about how large my man RJ's
It was a brute.
They came through and was like, it looks like a house. Had it been round, it would have had a perfect swirl. The pistachio on the outside is the triumph of this thing, as it adds a real crispness to the meringue
Yeah,
that
Prue was
isn't
really
particularly
digging it.
crisp. Yeah, what she said is your meringue ain't crisp, so these nuts is doing the crisp business that I wanted your meringue to do. You lucked out with that. Would like a mix of mango with the yuzu curd, as opposed to just the mangoes across the top. He made these mango spheres. It was a real cool process. Something I think you should watch to see how he did it. I think it's pretty sweet. But she wanted a more fruity flavor that would have come. She felt would have come with that if he had mixed the mango and yuzu together in a singular curd. Paul thinks the roulade itself is a bit eggy because it's just so big and it's made of eggs. Saying, buddy, I'm sorry. It's just what it is. That's what they thought of RJ's. Jen is up next. Love the look. Could be neater. In fact, they kind of recommended she kind of hack off the ends, and that way she would have had a clean look to it. A bit of a swirl. Looks nice. Absolutely delicious. A little chewy and soggy in the middle. It doesn't melt in the mouth as readily as it should, which is not what you want from a roulade, apparently. But tastes amazing. I find things like it tastes good, but the texture ain't right. Like, I wonder if I'd be okay with that. You know, like,
Because like the texture is not supposed to be quite like a meringue that you get on top of a lemon meringue. It's supposed to be more marshmallow, more dense.
yeah, like what's that candy called? Divinity. Divinity? That's what I think it's called. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about with the gems in it.
Yeah. So, you know.
Almost like a nougat.
No, see, you're thinking nougat. No, Divinity is let me see if I can find you what Divinity looks like right quick. I guess you know what though? It do kind of got a nougat-esque look to it. Compared, like if I actually whipped out some nougat. Oh, let's see what Divinity is. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm saying Divinity and I should be saying something else. I just want the recipe, and of course, you know, you got to roll 6 miles to the bottom. And in fact, I don't think they gave me the recipe in that whole thing. I think they just talked about Divinity. Scroll back up toward the top. Oh, literally, this button that says jump to the recipe. So we're going to click. There it is. I literally had to go back to the top and jump to the recipe. Corn syrup, egg whites. Yeah. So this one, I'm thinking, so let me show you this pic here, Anthony. Share this screen here.
Oh,
Give it away. And so that itself is a meringue. It's just got, you know, instead of sugar, it's got corn syrup in it and so forth. So it's more of a candy-ish vibe. Sugar. Oh, it does have sugar. It's sugar. It's corn syrup. It's water. So there's a lot of things going on there. But I get you. It's that's the kind of bite I think. What they're going for. But I can't guarantee you that, people. I'm guessing just like the rest of us. But again, it was eggy because there's too damn much of it. No. We were already on to Jen, who's tastes amazing. That's where we're at. Texture is funky. Mackenzie's up next. Well shaped. So much cream you can barely make out the swirl. Prue at first loves it. Loves how the lime kind of pings off her salivary glands, get you back here in them jaws. But it's far too much cream. You really want more curd than cream in this particular roulade situation. The coconut is over toasted. I love how Prue says over toasted and Paul immediately goes, no, it's burnt. Like, let's be real here. This coconut is burnt. And I'm like, dang, Paul, relax. Prue is such a she's finesse. Yeah, she's a class act. She has such a classy way of looking at things. She's like, hey, look, it's overbaked. That's what she would say. And Paul like, no, it's burnt. I'm like, no, bro, relax. You could have went with overbaked, over toasted was a fine enough way to say that. Mackenzie asks, hey, but that key lime though. And Paul was like, that key lime is on point. You was right, girl. Chris is up next. A bit messy. Looks intriguing because of the unusual color to Prue, who is then immediately confused by the flavor. Paul thinks the meringue is good, but he thinks the filling is absolutely awful. The balance of the flavors is all wrong. Slightly overboard and added too many things. Because Chris is kind of going back and forth with him initially, but then with himself, like, do I add this? What was it? It wasn't basil. It was some
Basil?
other. Was it basil? I thought it was something else.
Yeah, he
And
hemmed in hard about it. Like, I wanted to talk to him about that a little bit because he was very like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it because, like you said, he was going back and forth on it. But I appreciate the fact that like he wanted to bring what was true to him.
yeah.
But yeah, basil was the flavor that he questioned.
And I don't know. Like he just explained this in the interview. They come to that table rip roaring and ready for what they have made prior to this. They know what they're going to go into, at least for the signature, what they're going to do. They have already gotten all their ingredients. They've requested all the ingredients and so forth and so on, and it just didn't work out this time. And that's exactly what the conclusion they all came to together right there. Nicole's last up in the judging this time around. Loves the look. Good size. Neat, but no swirl. Delicious, very good, but far too sweet. Tiny bit too sweet for Prue, but Paul was like, this is too sweet. But either way, Prue was like, it's still good, girl. So I was like, no, they ain't Prue tell you your shit's still good. I think that's all right. Our technical challenge this go round. 6 sweet cinnamon and sugar pretzels and 6 sesame and salt pretzels with a cheese dip. 2.5 hours to complete. So it's definitely baking. It's definitely a baked situation. You do have to do some boiling first, you know what I'm saying? And then baking soda water, I believe, is how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. Pretzels is a wild boy to kind of pull out on a technical, you know?
I mean, this is the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
And like I said, with the first challenge, those are one of the things was like that you got to bring it because the only perfect one is probably the one that Paul and Prue tasted, pretty much behind the scenes, and it's no, they don't do that, but like with the pretzels, it's like they know almost everybody's gonna mess up.
Yeah,
because like they were saying, like, oh, all of them are tasty, but all of them are bad.
Yeah. It's like I think they know how that they're going to mess up and how they're going to mess up because they talk about it like, look, what you got to do is not be hitting this dough so hard when you roll it up because you're going to push all the air out of it and you're not going to have a good.
You're going to need the air later.
Yeah, it's not going to be open. It's not going to be an open bake and so forth and so on. It's like all these things. It's like I feel like a challenge like this is just something that will help bakers in the future. They could add it to their repertoire and better understand what they're doing with stuff like this, things that need a little more. Yes, you still have to kind of get hands-on with it, but you got to kind of be a lighter touch if you want them to turn out how you want them to turn out.
Knowledge and finesse is the key to winning the show.
Yeah.
Like flavors and all that stuff, but like knowing those little tricks that everybody don't talk about. And that's exactly why it seems like when they do the technicals, like the writing be bare bones.
Yeah.
Because they want you to pull from other pieces of knowledge that you have before baking.
Yeah.
Before getting to the tent, rather.
Because if you're I think, well, of course, their brain immediately just leaves the pretzels to bring it out. But had they just slowed down to like, well, if I have to prove this, then it probably needs to be. It's the end result should probably be like any kind of proved bread, and that is a little open, a little chewy, but a little light. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's what they want you to think.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just did not think that way. And when they explained to them during the judging what they wanted, they're like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And going forward, like I said, I don't know if everybody's gonna be whipping up pretzels again, but if they want to, they fully know how now.
Yeah.
Let's judge this. Because up first, not enough whole. I want you to know I brought this up to Nick Jew because that's a very Nick Jew-ass joke to be had right there. And she said, Giggles were had. So don't worry about it. Need you laughed at that.
Insert giggles here.
There you go. It's quite tough. It's underproved. It's overbaked. It's like leather. Nice taste. Just needs to be lighter. Now you just heard me say all that. Keep that in mind, okay, as we roll through the rest of this. RJ's up next. Certainly not pretzels. Half as long as it should be. Nice flavor. A bit tough. Tight inside. Pretty bad. I didn't ask Nick about tight inside, but I feel like she would have laughed at tight inside as well, okay? Just beware. Mackenzie's up next. Shape good. Really crispy. Soft inside. Outside like metal. It was then that I was like, oh, there you go. Slightly overbaked. Look, outside like metal and slightly overbaked, I don't even know how those two things happen. Right? How do you get slightly overbaked, but if the outside is like metal? But this is what our judges have said to us. Jen's up
Those
next.
must be those the pretzels that the monks make that she made.
Jen's up next. Not a pretzel, a bun. Quite tough. Flavor okay. Needed more proving. Chris wraps it up. Overbaked. Black. Flat. Good for your jaw. A good workout. Flavor's good. And that was down the line. Everybody got the taste right. Had it not been overbaked, it would have been a good pretzel. What a burn. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to read you what they said about Nicole's again, okay? Not enough whole, quite tough, underproved, overbaked, like leather, nice taste, needs to be. And then I'm going to go, let's go into rankings. Last place, RJ, not a pretzel. And he was just like, you're right. Chris, all a bit overbaked and not open enough. Jen, not shaped like a pretzel. Mackenzie, look nice, a little tight. But in first place, still awful, just not as awful as the rest, is Nicole. And I'm just like, I guess the one having an outside like metal nets you second place in this judgment right here. And I'm just like, I don't get it.
I wish that I don't know if they could get Patreon or something, but I want to hear that whole judging sometime. Because so they said outside like metal, right? So the flavor had to be that fucking good to be like, you know what, the other technical part. So it must have had at least some holes. It must have had like the right flavor, but the outside was too crispy.
It was wild. It was just wild to me when they got to that. Especially as I write it down, as I write the notes, I'm like, I'm not saying they were mean, but it just sounded like leather, underproved and overbaked. It's just like that. All sounds like I can't believe she came in first. She couldn't believe she came in first, and that's no disrespect to Nicole or anything like that. There, she was also like, the look on her face was like, really.
The technical is always a chance for them to be a little bit cold, a little bit more critical without it being like, because it's blind. It's always, I always feel a little bit of secondhand embarrassment when watching the technical.
I don't think so. If I just look back in my mind's eye, I feel like every technical in this 10. In this go round has not been too fantastic. It was with Empire last week, and Mackenzie did pretty well compared to everybody else, but not. I wouldn't say perfection.
Because nobody took it off the 10.
Yeah, and then what was the week before that? Week before that was the margarita pizza, which everybody just basically made personal pan size pizza, and they really needed like an American large. And they didn't do that. Week before that, what was that? It was a cookie of some sort. I can't recall what it was. It was the one they had to pipe out. Yeah. And I think maybe Nicole got those spot on, I believe, maybe, if I'm recalling correctly. And then I can't recall first week. But like I said, I think every tech this series so far has been like just not as glorious as it could be. So, but hey, let's get on down to the showstopper. Our showstopper is a celebratory bombe dessert with at least one baked element, 4 hours to complete. I inquired of Nick Jew if she was showstopped this week, and she let me know she was not. And now you know what I know. Mackenzie is going to make a banana split birthday bomb. It's a shout out to her daughter, who I believe turned 8 a couple of weeks before she made this bomb. It's going to be an Italian meringue and chocolate ganache shell with layers of banana cake and chocolate mousse, topped with a Bavarois cherry. Let me tell you something. This week was the first time I saw Zach really get ate up by some of the things he had to pronounce. Because he was like, a Bavarois. And I'm like, that's not that. And he said pecan. And he said something else. I was like, sir, they did you in this go around. I can't believe they let you get a walk on this. But I know this to be, there's an R in Bavarois. But I never heard anybody pronounce that R until Zach Cherry did it this week. But actually, you know what? Jen did too. But imagine, if you will, a big old ice cream scoop, chocolate syrup on it, and a big old cherry on top of it with sprinkles. The cherry is the Bavarois. And the Bavarois, otherwise known as Bavarian cream or creme Bavarois, is a type of sweet, velvety custard dessert. The base of a Bavarois is creme anglaise, which is thickened by adding egg yolks, sugar, vanilla, and cream or milk. The dessert is carefully cooked in a water bath before mixing in gelatin or isinglass, which I think is just isomalt, to further thicken the mixture. Whipped cream is then folded in to add a special lightness to the dish. The dessert is then left to set in a cold in a mold and then unmolded before serving on a plate. True Bavarois is set in a fluted mold and chilled until it achieves a firm texture. The mold can first be coated with a fruit gelatin to produce a glazed effect on the final product. Bavarois is best served with a fruit sauce, apricot, or raspberry puree, or to fill charlottes. It could also be used as a filling for donuts instead of pastry cream.
A Charlotte Russe. I remember, I think it's Once Upon a Time in America, where that was one of the things that one of the ladies would take payment for. She would take a Charlotte Russe.
I mean, hey, a well-made Charlotte Russe may be worth your money.
I mean, I know this is a little inside baseball, but I want to get up early tomorrow, and I want to go to the French bakery to get a couple things because tomorrow's my current youngest son's birthday.
Yeah. Current youngest is the funniest thing ever, but the current baby, his birthday is tomorrow.
Yeah, get a couple special things, something different.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I hope you pull it off and let me know what you get.
Next, not this time, but they make a jalapeno cheddar croissant that is wonderful. And every time I've gone back, they're either sold out or that's not their thing of the day. So when I get one, I have to just pop over to your neck of the woods and bring you one.
What time they open? That's probably one of the shit you gotta get. Like, I'm gonna slide through it.
You gotta pop out and show niggas
early. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta get there early. I'll after I'll look and see what time they get open. But they open pretty early, I think.
Very cool. RJ's up next. RJ's going for a winter Mexican hot chocolate bomb. It's going to be topped with these meringue polar bears. It's going to be filled with a cinnamon mascarpone mousse, chocolate sponge, and a cream chili chocolate namalaka. And I don't know if I pronounced that right, but we'll get to it. The term namalaka comes from Japan. Its literal meaning is ultra creamy or extremely creamy. The namalaka is a very delicate and it's very delicate. Oh, I'm reading this directly, okay? So don't think I wrote this, okay? The Namak is very delicate and surprises those who've had the pleasure of tasting it. It is similar to a white chocolate ganache, but also a white chocolate mousse, and it's a very special cream that contains no eggs or flour. When we get to it, we'll get to it. So don't worry, okay? Nicole's up next. A celebration of fall bomb. It's going to be the baked element. In this case, it's going to be some pecan shortbread. But it's going to have an apple and cranberry gelée. Gelée is what was fucking my man Zach Cherry up. He was jelly. He kept jelly. He just was not like trying to say gelée. And the only reason I know it's gelée is because the bear. In a white chocolate mousse covered in a caramel mirror glaze, topped with these leaf cookies that she was very unhappy when they first came out the oven. But I was like, I just felt like, Nicole, you was wrong on this one. Them cookies look gorgeous. I was just like, I just disagreed with her. She didn't like the way they looked, but I felt she was wrong in this case.
We're always our worst critic. And
facts.
Yeah.
A gelée, in case you're wondering, is French for a jelly-like food. But in the world of baking, it's usually a fruit puree that has been stabilized with gelatin. Or, jelly. Chris is up next. He's going for a chocolate raspberry bomb. It's going to be coated in chocolate ganache with a white chocolate spiral filled with a chocolate mocha cake and 3 layers of mousse, 1 milk chocolate, 1 dark chocolate, and 1 raspberry. Sounded good to me. I'm telling you right now. And I don't even like fruit messing around my stuff, but I've been trying to be better. I've been trying to be better about that and just really like take it as it is and see what comes of it. What it is people like the sharpness that fruit brings to it, and I just like the sweet. I don't need the sharpness, but
that makes sense because I am definitely when it comes to like say for example just an apple pie.
Yeah,
I want to feel that. I don't like an apple pie just sweet. I want some not only some dynamic contrast, some levels of flavor.
Yeah. So I get it. Just don't always appreciate it. But I'm trying to be better about it as I get older.
Yeah, I don't fuck with the 4th of July no more, but I'm hoping for America's sake, that Costco got that apple pie for the 4th of July.
Jen is going for Sister Day of Fun in the Bomb. Forgive me. It's going to be chocolate mirror glaze bomb filled with chocolate mousse, an orange bavarois. You know what a bavarois is now. With a hazelnut jacon sponge, but you may not know what a jacon sponge is. And I find this one to be the most fun. Jacon is a nutty and rich, but still light as a sponge cake should be. It provides the perfect base for layered cakes like an opera cake. The name comes from Da Vinci's Italian model for the Mona Lisa, Lisa del Giocondo, which translates in French to Joconde. I just thought that was dope.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I just like, that's crazy because if even in Word here where I type my notes up at, if I didn't capitalize Joconde, but they want you to capitalize because guess what, Joconde, a proper noun, that's somebody's name. I was like, that's wild. Word to Lisa del Giocondo, the model of the Mona Lisa. I didn't even know that either. So that's also double news for your boy this go around. Judging, let's judge this. Nicole's up first. Looks impressive. Sugar work could be finer. The mirror glaze is lovely. Slice holds together nicely. The flavors go well together. The gelée has slightly too much gelatin in it, just a tiny bit rubbery. The mousse, and it is also just a bit rubbery and thick too. But the blend of flavors worked well together, including the apple, which Paul thinks is clever. So, if nothing else, because I don't think I mentioned that when I was describing it to you. Flavors of fall is what she's going for. So she had these apple and cranberry gelees as a part of her layers, and that's just fall in a cake, or in a dessert is this word. And I kind of like that worked out. Chris is up next. Outside a bit messy, but very original. It's falling apart on the slice, and that's because some parts of it have set super hard, so it's a bit difficult to eat. Everything is opposite of the way it should be, is what Paul says. But the flavor is spot on. And I'm like, it's the second part. This is like the second time this has happened. It's like where this shit tastes good, but those texture is all off, and I don't know how to make that click.
Yeah, yet again, like that's like kind of the question like I asked Chris, like, and I was hoping he would give a little bit more when I said it. Like where you were being judged at, like some of these things have been sitting for a while and they're probably not the texture you intended a half an hour ago, 45, like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. And that is interesting because like as we just found out, things sit for a stretch after being made. And I'm not saying time made things set up weird, but it does seem weird that things maybe fresh that would have had a different experience,
Yes, you're like they mentioned. Everybody has mentioned that's been on the show. It's hot.
Yeah.
You got three different kinds of ingredients in a cake, and it affects it. So I don't know, but
Bruh. That little bit of information changes my whole thought process on a lot of the show immediately. I'm like, oh man, some of these motherfuckers got played just
like
by
over the years. You can just go like, hey man, like that your bake was a minute. And I don't heard Paul say a minute or two out of the oven, it would have been perfect. But you over here waiting for the cameraman to get over to you. You got to wait 30 to 45 seconds. Makes a difference. Yeah. Or people who the first episode ain't really familiar with that oven yet, burn stuff or overbake it or underbake it because you're scared.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Like I said, I don't know if you have a convection oven because I don't know.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm just like, I feel like there's gonna be a learning curve to that. You know what I'm saying? When you first start getting using it,
and even gas to electric, because like gas, you wait longer for your oven to reach temperature.
Yeah.
And also like with that particular oven they have that you slide the door out or push it back in and slide it out. Like, you can't tell me that's losing temperature like quite fast because it's not a big oven. It's a smaller oven. You got the door open. You're like, okay, I'm baking these cookies at 325 or 350. A 25 temperature difference for cookies is drastic.
Yeah, faux shizzle dizzle. Jen is up next. Very elegant, a very nice shine. Wonky piping. I think Nick would laugh at that one too. I'm not sure. Wonky piping because the piped icing at the bottom there that just was not. It was wonky. It really is. You look at it like that is kind of on the lean there. Prue loves the flavors. It's set without being rubbery. The textures all the way through are spot on. Probably needed an additional texture. It feels like just having one giant mousse. Paul recommended a dacquois. I didn't go right in what the dacquois is. Trust me, there's nuts involved. It's lovely. I get it. He just wanted some additional contrasting texture within this. And she did not provide it. So that was basically the only complaint they had on Jen's thing, which we'll get to it. Mackenzie, lovely. Love the colors. Hold together well when sliced. Mousse, just a little hard. Everything else, spot on. Tastes fantastic. She even made the sprinkles, which I was just like, that is wild to have known that she cut those. Well, I mean, you'll see her do it, but it's like, they was like, did you bring those sprinkles? Goes, no, I made those sprinkles. And they was like, you could see the impressed. You know what I'm saying? Because she did not come to play, and she did not.
Her
Excellent.
24 hours is different than everybody else's, boy.
For sure.
She be doing it.
She said she got a pig, 3 kids, a dog, a cat, and a husband. And Paul made a joke about, I'm glad you said husband because I was wondering who the pig was. I was like, oh, you funny, my guy. RJ comes in, bringing up the rear here. Impressive. Cute polar bears. Prue was like, you make them polar bears? Yeah. Are they meringue? Yeah. Like, lovely. A masterpiece of flavor. Every layer is a pleasure and altogether on point. Paul had to pull my man's over for the Hollywood handshake.
Yeah,
it was that good, and I truly appreciate when Paul appreciates a food because I know he knows something. I know whatever. This is dialed. This shit sounds so. Actually, sounds amazing. A cinnamon mascarpone like mousse situation, bruh. All of it, all day. Sounded delicious. Was delicious. Dapped my man's up. Kept him in the tent. And in fact, Paul was like, "Welcome to the tent. Where you been?" Because RJ came through on that one, y'all. It was not to be fucked with, for real, for real. But your star bake this week is, of course, the lady who made her own sprinkles, one Miss Mackenzie. I believe that is her second straight and her third overall, which is wild when you think about it, because that just means there's only been 2 other star bakers, and that was Roy Yoon and I think Nicole got it once, right? Yeah. So otherwise, this is Mackenzie's house. Y'all just guessed. Sent home was Chris, and you kind of could understand that. And Jen, and you're like, I feel like Jen got sent home this week for last week.
For old and new. Yeah.
Because she had a decent enough situation in the signature. Middling, literally middle was in the middle of the pack for technical, and a really solid otherwise showstopper.
Yeah, RJ's showstopper saved him.
Oh, for sure, ate it up, and so it's but then it's like, who else you gonna send home? And nobody else was going to go home, especially after getting a Hollywood handshake on your showstopper. It had to be Jen, unfortunately. Although just last week, you knew what it was. I knew it last week. I was like, I probably would have sent them both home last week anyway. But here you sent them on this week. Cool.
Show must go on.
And that's like I said. It was what it was. You know what I'm saying? It was just their time. And I mean, yeah, it stinks because you know what I'm saying. You want people to you don't want to have to send people on, but you kind of have to, and that's what the show is. So next week is the finals. Going into the finals will be Nicole, Mackenzie, and RJ. And I don't want to say it, but I mean, it really is Mackenzie's to lose, and I hope she doesn't. But who knows? Also, it already occurred, and literally I can go watch it right now and find out. But I have not done that yet. So
yeah, I watched it yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you are ahead of the curve. Very good. Mm-hmm. Let me go open up various places that people could leave us feedback and see if we have any. I do see the purple interact button is glowing over here, so let me click on that. Removing the pie from its tin and serving it? ? Was the question of the week. And it's my man Brad. You know who it is. And he says, if you read or watch Erin McDowell videos on recipes, she suggests out of 10. I think that encourages less than flaky crust in the tin. Oh, no. He says he thinks that encourages less than flaky crust, in his opinion, in the tin. Agree.
Because it would have to be a more a lot crispier, a lot tougher. Like I don't know about the layers when it's just standing up straight.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Brad hit us up, was like, you know what I'm saying, if Nick coming up here, because we were talking about that last week, he said, you let me know, because I'm gonna come through with some bakes for y'all. And I'm like, hell yes, Brad. Brad, don't think, I know I didn't hit you back, but worry not. I knew I was gonna hit you back on this program, and I know you listen. So that's why I did not reach back out to you that in the direct, man. I just want to give you a shout out on the show here. Let me just double check. And we're good over there too.
I'm getting worried, Frank. We haven't heard from you.
Frank, a busy man.
Okay.
And I trust when necessary the call will come, especially as we get near here to the finale next week. So hope all's well with you, Frank. Man, it's always a pleasure to hear from you. Oh man, I should have asked Nick, because I like her contributions to this as well as yours. And what should our question of the week be?
Question of the week. Who do you think? I guess who do you think is going to win first?
All right. Question of the week is, who is your champ? Don't answer this if you've already watched. Okay. I need these polls to be scientific.
So I can't answer.
And the poll this week should be what?
Who was your favorite baker this season?
Nah, that's a little more. That can be the question of the week, and I can flip that. I can flip the other one to the poll.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. Who's your tramp becomes the poll because you can easily make selections. And the question of the week is your favorite baker of this series. Favorite baker this series. So at least that was.
And maybe next week, do you like hearing us figuring out what the poll and questions going to be?
Trust me, I hack it way time. Look, you knew the time we'd be sitting here twiddling our thumbs and going him and han about it, and you'd be like, "Damn, they really sitting here thinking on this." But nah, I cut it way down from our actual the time we actually are considering things. So it's all to the good.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. You've been made abreast of everything. Make sure you go follow the homie Nick Jew. She is Nick the Jew on IG, and I believe just Nick Jew on Twitter, if you are so inclined. That is the 216 on. It's Tatum 216, just about everywhere.
Yes.
I am the internet's Taro 713, just about everywhere. And bake with us again. We'll do it next week.
What
Peace.
happened to your ass? It used to be beautiful.